What is going on, everybody? Just wrapped up the second day of joint practices leading up to Friday's preseason opener against the Atlanta Falcons. We're going to jump into all of the day's highlights, news, details, injury updates, because there's enough of them from today. But I want to start with taking a little bit of a detour today and actually jump back to a kind of a moment in yesterday's practice, because it's actually going to bleed nice into where I want to start with today's practice. But I want to give a shout out to a viewer who left this comment, John Johnson, 8830, and his comment's going to bleed perfectly into where I want to start today. But you can see the comment on the bottom. I put it down there on the scroll, but essentially referring to the play where Tua hit Chosen over the middle for a nice chunk yards gainage. But on that play, he gave a little bit of a ball fake deep to Tyreek, and things opened up, and Chosen was wide open, not wide open, but open enough coming across. And basically saying, if Tua can incorporate some ball fakes to go along with like his already really good head and eye manipulation that he does, that's only going to make this offense and him even better. But the thing with that, and as I was reading the comment, I thought the exact same thing that the person who left the comment and said, the only thing is you need the offensive line to really show up to give them time to be able to do more of these fakes. And that bleeds in well, like I said, to right where I want to start, which is on the offensive line, because we're going to get to all of the day's action. But Joe Shad had mentioned on Twitter, he said Teron Armstead and Isaiah Wynn playing key roles for the 11s, for the number ones in the opening 11 on 11 action. Basically saying, you know what, Teron Armstead was out on the field today, lining up at left tackle, and guess who was next to him? At left guard. It wasn't Liam Eichenberg like it has been. It was Isaiah Wynn. So Wynn getting the nod at left guard today. And hopefully this kind of competition, because we still got plenty of time before week one hits and we see who that starting five is going to be. But there's plenty of time now to bring out that competition with Liam Eichenberg. Because at the end of the day, I'm almost a little bit upset about this team's offensive line at this point in time. And we just simply need the best five guys playing. I don't care who it is. I don't have any favorites. I am going, let's get the best five guys out there and make it happen. Otherwise, everything we did this offseason, which was basically ignore backup quarterback, ignore offensive line, ignore tight end, we're just going to get more playmakers. We're going to get more speed. We're going to improve on the defense. We're going to beat teams that way. Well, it's going to look like a failure if we can't protect up front. So this is big news from the day about Isaiah Wynn potentially cracking into that starting line. Just kind of finishing up on the offensive line here as well. The Atlanta Falcons were noted for having at least 2 sacks and numerous run plays blown up in the backfield as well. So not a particularly great day for the offensive line. But let's talk about the offense and the quarterbacks and kind of some of the struggles in general, because it was another up and down day, an inconsistent day from Tua and the ones on offense. More balls hitting the ground than what we've become accustomed to. If you remember last year's joint practices, I think it was the Eagles and the Bucks. Man, it was just touchdowns. It was completions. Hasn't necessarily been the same this year against the Falcons. Tua missed River Craycraft in the end zone for a would-be touchdown, threw an interception, which we're going to get to, because at the very end of practice, they did more of the situational stuff. I love the situational stuff they do. But they started at their own 35-yard line, 45 seconds left on the clock. You got to go down and get a score. Tua started with 2 incomplete passes, and then on 3rd and 10, he was picked off. Not exactly how you would like to end practice. Looks like he was throwing to a spot where Berrios was supposed to be or thought he was going to be. Wasn't there, ended up going straight to the defender. Kind of the bad part about doing a timing-based offense and throwing to spots. If it's not there, interceptions can happen. But let's keep one thing in mind here for how much I know a lot of beat writers, content creators are kind of just not necessarily dogging the offense, but saying, hey, we need to step it up right here. Often with these practices, we got to keep in mind, I'm not trying to just be a pro Tua supporter or anything. I'm just putting things in perspective. It's often about the process and not the result. So keep a couple of things in perspective when we're thinking about this. But the takeaway from the day is that, yes, the offense was once again a little bit underwhelming. Let's move on to the running backs, because Raheem Mostert was at practice today. However, he was not dressed. Looks like he was just given the day off. I don't think that's anything injury related. But the running back of the day was Devon Achane, and I love the fact that we've gotten to say that a couple of times now, because his own teammates are starting to single him out. Jaylen Waddle's media availability over the last couple of days, Brandon Jones as well, saying this guy's he's the complete package. He's the complete back. He's a guy that's going to be able to produce and potentially instantly in this offense. Had a 10-yard run today, which was noted as the best of any running back. But his play of the day was kind of like the hypothetical game-winning touchdown catch from Skyler's situational drill. End of practice, diving catch in the end zone. Teammates run and go celebrate. But Devon Achane on the receiving end of a nice deep ball there from Skylar Thompson. The first video we're going to get to today is Alec Ingold because, man, his usage continues to be on the rise, something that we're going to love to see moving forward more here. If we're going to try to get the ball out of Tua's hands a little bit quicker, if defenses are going to play against the run and not really try to do anything besides take the middle of the field away, if we can get Ingold going on plays like we're going to see right here, it's only going to add another element to this offense. So you're going to see Ingold go in motion to the right where the ball fake's going to go, and then seep right out into that flat where Tua's rolling naturally to his left. And he's going to get that 10-yard chunk gain right there from Alec Ingold. The one bad thing, we talked about injuries. Alec Ingold later seen walking into the facility with a trainer, so something to keep our eye on there. Wrapping up the running back, Savon Ahmed had a touchdown in red zone work, and then Jeff Wilson had a fumble once practice moved inside. Half of practice was moved inside today. He also appears that he got injured at some point during practice. Looked like a potential hand injury there. So a few injuries to note, but probably the biggest injury to note from the day, Jaylen Waddle comes down, looks like maybe he came down on the ball or came down awkwardly, left the field holding his side. Unsure if it's hip, rib, air knocked out, could be nothing, could be something, but definitely something to monitor. If I don't have anything as of recording this video, but if I see anything, I will go ahead and throw it in the comments. Tyreek Hill doing his stuff again today, some backflips into the end zone, caught a touchdown from Mike White where there was no one in the vicinity, did a backflip into the end zone. An injury update from a previous practice. Braylon Sanders, Mike McDaniel said in his media availability before practice that it was a leg injury with no structural damage, and they expect him back within the next couple of weeks. So that's a positive sign. I wasn't expecting that from Braylon Sanders. I got another video here on this one. Robbie Chosen had a pass that was kind of broken up last second from Tua in some 11-on-11 action. This was a beautiful play. The Falcons defender just made a little bit better play at the end here. Number 29 just pops that out. I'm going to show that one again here real quick so you can see it. But Tua's rolling out. Spots it right on the sideline, right where Anderson is going to be, hits him in stride. However, sometimes the defense just makes a little bit better play than the offense, and that was the case on that one. Let's move on to the tight end. Sorbert had a touchdown from Mike White on a busted coverage, and then Julian Hill also with a short touchdown from Tua in some red zone work. Defensively, so this is where things kind of take a little bit of a turn because we talked about how kind of up and down and inconsistent the offense was. Well, from all accounts, the defense, consistent to say the least. Even without Jalen Ramsey, I think we are going to see under Vic Fangio a significant improvement in our defensive performance this year. The Falcons converted just one first down in their first 11-on-11 action. That is music to your ears. Also noted for forcing 4 straight incompletions at one point in practice. And if we look at the defensive line, so Christian Wilkins got some limited reps over the courses of these practice, basically had the day off today. I was told that that was done by design to see what these other interior defensive linemen can do and how they stand out. And by all accounts, they still basically dominated today. One of those guys, Brandon Peely, we've heard his name throughout camp. As of right now, you got to think he's probably a good candidate to make the initial 53. He was one of the guys taking advantage of more snaps, more stops noted in the run game today. If you look at our edge rushers, Phillips is doing it again, credited with at least 2 more sacks today. And also, he had a sack in the situational drill towards the end of practice. He had a sack, and on the very next play, Bradley Chubb just beat his offensive lineman in front of him, was going in for the sack, basically got tripped. There was a penalty called. So you're looking at what would have been back-to-back sacks, but regardless, a sack and then a penalty that's the equivalent of a sack. But that's exactly the type of pass rush that you want at the end of the game. Because if you look at what we would have done in that situation last year, we probably would have blitzed a bunch of people and left the secondary out on islands. Well, if we can get these two getting home as consistent that they've been doing so far in camp and leaving more guys in the secondary, that is how you want to end a game. So gotta love what we're seeing from Jalen Phillips, from Bradley Chubb. Also getting credited with a sack coming off the edge today, Mitchell Agude, undrafted free agent. David Long noted for a tackle for a loss. And then I believe it was Andrew Van Ginkel and Malik Reed also teamed up for a tackle for a loss. In the secondary, Noah Igbenogany got noted for clamping down Kyle Pitts in some 7-on-7 action. Like you said, we got to give him his credit when it's due. We got to report on what's going on. So Noah, once again, making a couple of plays today. Also noted for forcing a fumble that the Dolphins recovered late in practice, but the referees ended up calling it incomplete. Now, I have seen something where some people thought that might have been Justin Bethel. Regardless, either Bethel or Noah with a nice play there. But speaking of Justin Bethel and wrapping up the injury portion of today's video, he did get an interception off of Desmond Ridder, but he also then needed to be helped off the field by trainers afterwards. So one more guy to keep an eye on. Wrapping things up, Keydron Smith, the undrafted free agent safety, he had a pick 6 off of Logan Woodside in 11-on-11s. There were 2 scuffles in today's practice. Things are a little chippier, a little more physical in today's practice. One included the Dolphins offensive lineman. I saw Connor Williams noted, Robert Hunt, Austin Jackson. The second one was basically wide receivers and defensive backs. Robbie Chosen and Tyreek included in there as well. And then one thing from Mike McDaniel's media availability that I thought was kind of interesting and that he actually put onto the field today. He said that, they was asked about his offensive performance from Tuesday's practice. And he said, if the goal was to be average, then I'd be pretty damn pumped up right now. So that's pretty much putting things in perspective that he was not happy with the offensive output in that practice. And he responded by not awarding a single player offensively or defensively with an orange jersey in today's practice. First time that I've seen him do that since he's been with the Miami Dolphins. But those are the news. That's the injury updates. That's everything that I have got from today. But like I said at the beginning of the video, any thoughts, comments, anything you've got, go ahead. Put that in the comment section. Let's carry on the conversation there. We will be back leading up to the Dolphins preseason opener against the Atlanta Falcons. But until then, Dolphins fans, fins up.